Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the Ted Show. You've been seeing me a lot today. It's Wednesday, so we are crazy busy, but I am very excited to have our musical guest, talented musical guest, the one and only, one name, Chisa is with us. Very excited to have her. We're going to talk about Gratitude is the Attitude. She is going to perform one, possibly two songs. Welcome, Chisa. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you, Ted?
I am great. So happy to have you. So like your background, it's got a great feel to it. I love having musicians and artists on because I'm always so enamored by the process and I love to hear the story. So getting to that, tell them a little 411 on your background. Give us a little an origin story on Chisa.
Well, I've loved singing since I was a little kid. I think the first time I ever performed for anybody was with my grandma at her retirement home. I think I was like 3 or 4, and I sang Hillary Duff had a Christmas song at the time, and I think that's what I sang for them one day.
I love it.
Off the bus, and just like spent the rest of my life chasing that high ever since. I started playing guitar when I was 15, and that's about when I started writing songs as well. And then a few years later, I picked up piano, and now that's my primary instrument. And yeah, I've been writing.
Isn't that amazing to me when someone like you says, well, I started playing piano, or I picked up piano. For those of us who are musically instrument challenged, it's a much bigger deal than you're making it sound. That's a big deal. So do you have an ear for it? Was it difficult for you to go from guitar to piano, and do you currently still play both?
I do play both, but I honestly, by the age of 15, had already picked up, I had started with flute. I'd already been singing at that time, and then I went on to saxophone in 5th grade, and then I started playing flute. Yeah, for flute in 4th grade, French horn, and then saxophone in 6th grade, and went through that progression. And then in high school, guitar.
You are musically inclined. Do you come from a family of people who are musically inclined, or is this a unique?
Yeah. Well, my mom's Japanese, so I just remember as a child being carted off every New Year's. They have a karaoke competition that's like men versus women, and so I would always be dragged along with my mom to these things. And my dad was a drummer back in the day. I've never actually seen him drum, unfortunately, but
I love that you have some. It's funny because you never know. Most kids feel like they're musically inclined early on, but you've really developed it. Like you knew that was your passion. You mentioned that you began songwriting around age 15. Was that the typical teen angst kind, or what was your style like as you're learning how to become a songwriter?
Well, I learned how to play guitar by just playing Taylor Swift songs, so I will not lie. I was definitely trying to emulate a lot of that at the time, just because I just love country music because it's such an accessible thing. It's your everyday person picking up a guitar, learning these sweet chords, and that's all you need. And there's hundreds of songs that are just that basic template, and anybody can do it. And that's the beautiful part about, I think just with songwriting and playing guitar, especially, just that specific instrument is so accessible. And
did you progress as you went? Did your style of songwriting change as you got older?
Absolutely. I had a country music phase when I was learning to play guitar, so that was all I was playing. And then I kind of leaned into a more indie alternative thing after college. And then I had an emo phase, and when I was in middle school, probably. I think I started going goth when I was 10, and so I've had a lot of different inspirations musically, and so it's definitely changed over the years, but I think I find a way to kind of mishmash them all together in my music.
And you mentioned that because we had a question. Tell us about what motivates you. You said what inspires you, what motivates you. When you're writing a song, is it always autobiographical, or is it something you could have seen and are moved by? People are fascinated by the process because most of us don't have that gift. If we tried to write something down, it wouldn't rhyme, it wouldn't sound right, it wouldn't go along. So it's a gift to be able to express yourself. So tell us about that.
Well, first, I do think art shouldn't be about any sort of rules. It doesn't have to rhyme. It doesn't have to sound good. I think everybody should have a creative outlet, regardless of whether or not you think it sounds good. I think you should be able to put your feelings on paper like that and not hold yourself accountable to any sort of rules. But in terms of my own songwriting process, I am very inspired when I'm traveling. And so I love road trips. Anybody that knows me knows I'm on a road trip at least once every other month. And so I always find my best inspiration when I'm like on the road and like everything's quiet and I'm just like enjoying the scenery. And I just feel like if you're wanting to be creative, it's important to isolate yourself and be able to put yourself in a space to be able to be receptive to these things floating around in the ether waiting to, be brought into the world.
And I love that you're able to put that to words and music, because I think all of us feel something, but we don't necessarily know how to give that back, to show people. What was 2020 like for you, since you do road trips and that was a motivator for you? How did you continue your creative juices during 2020 when everything in the whole world seemed to be shut down?
Well, admittedly, right at that time, my boyfriend had bought a car in New York and we live in LA. So we had gone to New York and driven this car back right at the start of Corona. So I was kind of like, on the run a little bit. We were going through like Yellowstone and like all this nature and stuff during that time. And so I was just still doing my thing. I had, they can't stop you from being outside,
No, they cannot stop you from being outside. I like that though, because a lot of creatives, they weren't sure. They had to obviously shift to things like this to perform. When you're up performing now, it's 2021, so you get out more often. It's all legit most of the time. And so you're out and about, you're performing. When you sing a song, do you get emotional out there, especially since it's your baby? All songs are your babies, right? That's what something you created and birthed. Do you get emotional when you're singing? Does it take you back to what you were feeling when you wrote it?
Yes and no. I think the last gig I played, I pulled out a song that I'd written at a really dark place in my life. And the first time I had pulled it out after not having even played it for a couple years, I definitely felt it and I sat in those emotions again. But in terms of I'm able to separate myself from that feeling, I guess, more so if I think of it as performing. And so I'm not that same person I was when I wrote that song. So the same principles might still ring true for me, but I don't feel the pain because, again, time heals everything. And so enough time has passed that I can look back on these things objective and be like, yeah, that sucked when I was in it.
But you can still share it with people and they can. I think people, they resonate with that because you obviously, the human emotion, it's all very similar, even though we think it's all different. And so it's really cool that you're able to separate it, but I'm sure that you move people and I'm sure that you motivate and inspire people. So we're going to stop talking because Ted will talk for hours. You're going to sing for us. Yeah. Tell us a little history of the song and a little bit about the song, and then I'm going to take myself off and you can take it away.
Alrighty. This is actually a song I wrote in high school that I haven't recorded and released into the world yet, but it's one of my favorite songs I've written. It's called Arizona State Line, and again, it touches on my bad escapism habit, where again, road trips every couple of months type of thing, and it's about a time where I'm upset and I just grab the keys and I get in my car because I tend to do that. I'm not condoning it or anything like that. It's just how I process my emotions. Yeah, it's about that.
Wonderful. All right, Chisa. Arizona State Line.
Thank you, Ted. Somewhere around 7, I think you broke my heart. Somewhere around 6, I should try it. And I should have. I think so fast, and not an hour ago, and I'm not too sure when I turn off my phone. But hearing your voice is the last thing I need right now. How could you dance to me and think I'd be okay? I'm screaming out the road, I'm slamming my brakes. I'm just your second choice, but it's more now. What are you? Ain't nothing's got the wheel, and nobody but this empty road. No black and blue. I can't see the stars, but I'm sure them all can me. But I've had the times we laid underneath them, the way you fed me, lying up so blind. My teeth say the only person that you'd ever need is me. How could you twist to me and think I'd be okay? I'm screaming out the road, I'm slamming down the race. I'm just your second choice, but it's one man. What do you? I know those grip the wheel, and know my mind is empty road. Knows how I feel. The times we pass us by, I hate you more and more. The take is empty, hanging out, slam a door wherever I am, and get it from wherever I am. The times we pass us by might be okay if I just keep walking and I forget your name. If I just keep walking and I forget this pain. How could you twist to me and think I'd be okay? I'm screaming out the road, I'm slamming down the race. I'm just your second choice, but for a man. What do you? I got this back of wheel, and the blind by this empty road knows how I
That was so good, Chisa. You know, the true confession, and if you haven't seen the show before, whenever I have a musical guest on, I take myself off, mainly because if you're bad, I can't hide my face.
I hope you're back there making some stank face. I can see
I literally cannot hide. I could have kept on that one. That was so good. I love when you went up further and you just really belted it out. I thought it was beautiful, emotional. I don't want to sound like Paula Abdul. You're probably too young to remember who that is, but
I know she's a queen. I love her, absolutely.
It just, the tone, everything was perfect. The pitch, I loved it. And the song was emotional. I felt it. I literally was sitting here going, that's beautiful the whole time. Absolutely loved it. Do you want to perform a second one? You know I must have liked it if I say that. So,
this was a test. You didn't want to give me two until you made sure I was good.
No, it's the truth.
Yeah, I'll play another one. Sure.
I would love that. And I'll let you take us out. I'll pop back on. But that was excellent. Arizona State Line, correct?
Yes.
Tell us what you're going to sing now for us, and I'll take myself off.
This one is called Runaway Season. This is the first single that I ever released. I recorded it right here in this bedroom. My microphone is right here off camera. You can't really see it. But yeah, this is my studio, in case you didn't know. I'm doing it all myself. I've, over the course of Corona, been learning how to mix and master and produce myself. So yeah, this is my first baby, my firstborn.
Love it. All right, Chisa, here we go.
No, it's called Runaway Season. I don't know if I said that.
Runaway Season, yes.
Draw me in like waves to shore. I'm backing on, moving on from my girls before. You call me so many different names. In the stories that you tell, you think you're smart, but now you wait till well. Oh, I really miss. I know it's makes me wanna kiss when I say let the skinny say, hold on to this feeling, babe, 'cause the man who's coming always changing for. I'm ready for them to leave. And any more Julys alone, I have to pass this by. You say you're coming home, but I don't know if I believe you. Looking for a sign to say you miss me one last time. Tell me I scream when my voice is gone shed. Not feeling close to me when I'm lying in the bed. Your shadows, I can feel them, no bouncing off the walls. I hear your secret wishes tell me smells of vacant halls. I know you wanna run away, I know it's a feeling too. I know you wanna go somewhere, the skies are always blue. And I can't take it anymore, trust me, I'll feel the same. I can't make like escape until I cover up the rain. The seasons are always changing, just like you and I. We don't need any excuses, we don't need to say goodbyes, no. We can make a new life for ourselves, could even change our names. As long as I'm with you, I'll be a stranger to all this pain. Things can be different for you and I. This doesn't have to be as hard as we're making it. Oh, just say you're coming back for me, 'cause I'm ready for it this time. Say what you're asking me, please just don't wait until July. I don't know if you heard the wind chimes in the back outside.
I did. Oh my God, I love that too. You have such a beautiful voice, Chisa. Really,
I appreciate it.
I absolutely love that, and I love that you sing with emotion. Which, sometimes performers get up and it's very dry, but whether you're feeling it or not at that moment, it feels like you're feeling it. So
Thank you.
fantastic. All right, tell people how they can buy your music, download your music, find you when you're traveling, and do any kind of shows. What's the best way?
I definitely try and keep my website, chisamusic.net, scrolling across right there as it goes. I try to keep everything on there, tour dates, music. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, all of your favorite, places to stream. And then if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can follow me at Chisa Marie.
Fantastic. That was so good. Come back anytime. I loved it. You guys get out and support our creatives like Chisa. Download, buy their music, help support them, go be a fan anywhere. 2020 was a challenge for a lot of people, so we definitely want to support our creatives. So thank you, Chisa, for being on the show. You were amazing.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for being so kind. I can't wait to chat with you next.
Woo! I can't wait. All right, Chisa, go to chisamusic.net.